Hello, and welcome to today's webcast featuring Microsoft PowerApps. My name is Deb Lee, and I'm joined by my colleague, Scott Stieritz, today. Scott and I are business intelligence and analytics consultants here at Thorogood, and we're joining today's webcast from our Philadelphia office. You can also feel free to get in touch with us via our contact details on the screen. We'll also share our contact details again at the end of this presentation. Before we get started, I'd like to begin by outlining a few objectives for today's session. To start, we'll take a look at PowerApps and talk about what it can do. We'll also discuss how PowerApps fits into the Microsoft landscape and share how it can work in conjunction with a number of other tools. Next, we'll share a few interesting demos to help highlight the value that PowerApps can bring to the table. We'll look to add some context of use cases to get you thinking about where you may be able to leverage PowerApps. We'll then close off the session by speaking about some ways to get started and some ideas on exploring and validating your use cases with PowerApps. Our agenda today will start with a brief introduction to Thorogood. We will then be introducing PowerApps to give a background on what exactly the tool is, to answer questions like what does it do and what can it be paired with. We'll spend a majority of the time walking through two specific use cases for how solutions with PowerApps can be used to solve common business scenarios. For those of you who do not know Thorogood, we are an independent global professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics strategies, solutions, and services with a keen focus on our customers. We are a global company with offices in New York, Philadelphia, London, Bangalore, India, Singapore, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. All of our consultants are recruited and trained in the same way to develop a unique mix of skills, blending business understanding in the form of industry and functional experience, with strong technical aptitude and a deep understanding of analytical tools and techniques. We offer a full range of BI and analytics services, including strategy and roadmaps, requirements, design, implementation, and training and support. In terms of the technologies we work with, we are an independent consulting firm, meaning we don't work with one specific technology. We do, however, work and partner with many of the key players in the market in order to provide our clients with the solutions that best suit their needs. These relationships are key, considering PowerApps is a strong collaboration and integration tool. With today's topic focusing on Microsoft, I wanted to share a bit about our relationship with Microsoft. We have been a Microsoft Gold partner for over 15 years and are certified for data platform, data analytics, application development, and data center. In addition, we are a cloud platform certified partner. Our partnership gives us a great interface into the Microsoft development team, allowing for open communication both from Microsoft directly to our customers and feedback from our customers back to the developers. Now that we've covered the introduction, I'm going to pass it over to Scott so he can talk to you a bit more about PowerApps is.
So in order to understand what PowerApps is and does, I find it kind of helpful to view it in the context of the Microsoft BI and Analytics product suite. So the suite's pretty expansive. It covers a number of different areas of interest, including what we have on the screen here: reporting, collaboration, data platform, and analytics. We've just pulled out a couple of interesting products to kind of give a sense for what these categories can offer. And it's interesting to note that while some of the offerings are focused on one specific goal, a number of the other products, such as PowerApps and Power BI, both of which we'll actually see today, can play a role in multiple categories all at once. And of course, this slide isn't meant to be an exhaustive list of Microsoft offerings. We do have a couple of upcoming events covering these topics in a bit more detail. We also have some on-demand content on our website covering navigating the Microsoft Azure platform, so feel free to check that out on our perspectives page if you're interested to learn more about the Microsoft suite as a whole. So kind of narrowing down from the product suite at a high level, it's then kind of valuable to focus in on the PowerApps platform a bit more specifically. So what is that PowerApps platform? Well, it's a user-friendly kind of dynamic application platform that's closely integrated with the Office 365 or Dynamics 365 that many organizations use. Within this platform, there's three key tools, which are PowerApps, Power BI, and Microsoft Flow. PowerApps is used for quickly creating valuable applications specific to your own business cases. Power BI then offers some self-service business intelligence reporting and data discovery functionality. And then Microsoft Flow can kind of connect and further extend the functionality of your applications and reports by automating business processes. And on top of this, there's really an ever-growing list of data connectors that allows bringing data into each of these tools. Or really, I should say all of these tools, because they can all work off of a common data model shared across the Power Platform. And through that same PowerApps platform, we can then bring these tools together in very effective ways. For example, we could take an automated process through Microsoft Flow and tie it to actions that you've built into your Power App, and then surface this app through Power BI alongside valuable visuals that can give some important business context. And we'll actually see a little bit of that in our demos today. Now that we have an understanding of Power Platform, what can it offer your business? Well, first of all, the Power Platform empowers innovation. So this enables technical developers and non-technical users alike to use, customize, and even build solutions to add value to their own specific areas of the business. It also makes way for intelligent enterprise solutions, which means more data-influenced insights and actions. And then lastly, it creates streamlined business processes. So this allows visualizing and automating tasks to optimize those processes that are critical to your firm's success. So now we've covered the Microsoft offering as a whole and looked at the Power Platform. Let's narrow down even more specifically into PowerApps. And what is it? Well, we can understand what it is in light of sort of what problems it addresses. In today's world, a lot of organizations hire experienced developers to create custom-coded applications. Although these applications can be very valuable, flexible, and customizable, there are often also considerable investments in terms of costs and in terms of timelines. There's also some considerations on the skills that will be required to adjust the application if needed going forward. PowerApps, on the other hand, is meant to enable everyday users, including the end users, to develop powerful applications without necessarily relying on that big team of developers. It allows for quick and efficient customization of the apps without any required coding. So now let's kind of circle back to that question. What is it? Well, PowerApps is an environment for building and consuming in both web and in mobile applications that are customized to your business, that connect to your data and allow you to work efficiently. And of course, there's certainly some use cases that exist for custom software development. PowerApps isn't meant to entirely replace this, but it can bring the power of custom applications quickly to almost any area of your organization. So as we discussed, the functionality within PowerApps is designed to empower the everyday user, if you will, to design and build custom apps for his or her workplace. And he uses intuitive drag-and-drop developer tools to help kind of minimize the gap between a business need and then the implementation of that need within the technical code. It also allows for rapid innovation throughout the entire business, enabling anybody to solve unique and specific business problems, gain greater insights into the data, streamline existing processes, and make intelligent data-driven decisions. Then behind the scenes, integration with a tool like Microsoft Flow or with other tools allows users to quickly react to what they see in their data with specific actions. Now, I know we briefly touched on before the number of data connectors that PowerApps has available, so we've included a few examples on the screen here. There's everything from traditional data sources in SQL Server to sites that your teams may use within SharePoint, to cloud storage in Azure, to collaboration tools like Slack, and then even custom API connectivity to integrate with your existing custom applications. So now that we've gotten pretty comfortable with what PowerApps is and what it can do, let's see it in action. So thinking about this use case that we have here, imagine that you're a sales rep at a pharmaceutical company and your company distributes products across the US. There's a bunch of sales reps that are available to take orders, progress different sales activities, reach out to clients, that sort of thing. And the current ways of working involve having a sales rep reach out to those potential clients via phone calls, via meetings, et cetera. Then this schedule is tracked, maybe in somebody's Outlook calendar, maybe they're keeping details in Excel files, that sort of thing. And the central sales team within the company is located at the home office, and then on a regular basis, maybe weekly or monthly, kind of collects all of this information from some of those sales reps. And then from time to time, that sales team will also perhaps email updates to the sales director on the status of sales for various accounts. And this kind of means that there's hours spent every single week sifting through emails, extracting data from people's Excel files where they're tracking contacts, compiling it into a consolidated format, all that sort of activity. And it's a pretty complicated process. It requires a number of people to communicate and indeed respond over email. And there's no real current view into the sales numbers at any given point. Everything's on a bit of a lag by the time it gets bubbled up all the way to that director of sales. And then to complicate things further, whenever an order or sample is requested by the customer, there's account managers who then need to review that request. They need to sign off and approve it before any of that order can be processed. So currently within this process, the central sales team coordinates a lot of this movement. So they coordinate the approval with the account managers and then kind of relay that information back to the sales reps, as well as bubble up to the director if necessary, which means a number of additional days on top of the process, especially when changes are required to the request, or if somebody isn't available for a given period of time and can't respond right away. So overall, the process is pretty inefficient in terms of reporting this sales information all the way up to the director, and there's a lot of elapsed time in between some of these decisions being made and when they're communicated to kind of each moving piece. So then the sales team recognized a need for improvement and looked to use the Power Platform from Microsoft to streamline the process. So a simplified Power App is now created to help the sales reps manage their sales, track products, requests, comments, that sort of thing, all within that mobile-friendly app so they can use it on the go. Then the information is stored in a central location, could be on, in this case, a SharePoint site, and then surfaced through that Power App, which means the central sales team in real time has insight into all the activity going on among those reps. And then sitting on top of that is a Power BI report that's created by connecting to that same set of data, since it's shared across the Power Platform, consolidating it, formatting it, and presenting it to that sales director. And then to help streamline that approval part of the process, Microsoft Flow is brought in to automatically send out emails to the relevant account managers for approvals and comments, and can also allow approvals within the application itself. And then it's surfaced directly within PowerApps, meaning the sales rep has insights into the approval status. They can instantly read any of those comments that are coming in, and it eliminates the need for involvement from that central sales team to kind of negotiate and coordinate all of that interaction. And then with the implementation of the entire platform, the sales reps, the sales team, and the sales director are all at that central place to view activity, view automated reports, that sort of thing. So now if we want to take a look at the application itself, what we're going to be looking at in particular today is the application that gets bubbled up to that sales director in Power BI. Here we have the application within Power BI, but before we get into this in too much detail, it's probably helpful to kind of ground ourselves in what Power Apps looks like. So if you open up Power Apps, there's a quick interface that you get to, and then you can start editing a new application. And if you're familiar with other Microsoft tools, a lot of the actions are available across the top of the page. You can insert a bunch of different objects here. You can insert buttons to control certain actions. You can insert forms for inputting data, charts to kind of view that data as it's being input, or view some contextual data, that sort of thing. So a ton of different objects available. You can also add actions. So this is where you might be able to integrate with flows that have been built out. There's also a number of options over on the right-hand side after you start building out your application as far as customizing that application, changing some of the view properties, changing what things look and feel like, really. And then after all that's set up, there's a preview button up at the top, so you can build out all the objects, but then preview it to make sure navigating between screens feels smooth, everything's aligned properly, and everything really looks and feels the way that you want it to. So then after we've built all that out, we can see that the application, the one that we've built in particular, is now integrated directly into this Power BI report. So as I mentioned, the report focuses on bubbling up a lot of these sales opportunities and some of the sales activity. So let's say we're interested in looking at some of the prospective sales opportunity. We have information about sales that have already been closed out, but we want to look at prospective sales. And then it looks like Globex is a relatively large portion of the opportunities that we have on the pipeline. So maybe I'll kind of cross-filter on that and look at prospective opportunities within Globex. Then looking at this line chart down at the bottom of the screen, I can see, well, there's some activity over the next few months, but it looks like in May 2019, there's kind of a steep drop-off as far as sales value. The value of the opportunities for our pharma sales that are on the pipeline are particularly low. So, maybe I want to talk with the account manager, kind of understand what's going on here. So since this is all based off of a shared data model, you can see that the Power App itself, which is located on the right-hand side of the screen, kind of automatically filters down to what I've selected, so the prospective opportunities within Globex. I can click this action button to understand who's my account owner. In this case, it's my colleague Ben. I can see some comments that he's added about some activity that's recent, but maybe not as recent as we would hope to be driving that May activity. So we had a couple meetings and a little bit of conversation over the past month or so. But now let's say, again, I really want to dig into what's going on in May. So we've also added this email action. Maybe I'll reach out to Ben and include him. Maybe I want to include a couple other colleagues who are particularly interested in this, or some people that I may want to get involved in the sales activity at Globex. Then I can fill out some other information like the subject and message and use the send button to send that right along. So that's a pretty quick view as to what Power Apps can look like in action. Now I'm going to hand it over to Deb to talk through another use case around banking regulations.
Thanks, Scott. I'm going to look into a use case regarding banking the industry, primarily around regulatory reporting. So for the second use case, we're going to be looking at a bank or insurance company and the current process of how their regulatory reporting is done and how Power Apps can help them solve their inefficiencies in the process. Currently, the managing director will notify a team of analysts that they are to review month-end reports. The analysts go back and forth with the director on whenever they've signed off with the data and visuals in the report, as well as to correct any inconsistencies if they arise. Then, the managing director will then sign off on the report and send it over to the regulatory institution. From this diagram, we can see that there are a lot of messaging, so Skype Messenger, Outlook, and phone calls that are actually used to notify the director of the analyst's comments and concerns. We can see that there's a lot of room for error here with all the different forms of communication. There's potential for people to miss an email, not to mention if they're on vacation and they just don't see it. So a lot of issues can arise here within this process. So let's take a closer look at how it can be improved with Power Apps. Let's take a look at the improved use case. The analysts now have a Power BI report with Power Apps embedded in it. Here, they are able to comment directly in Power BI, making it clearly visible across everyone viewing the report what the comments are, essentially allowing for one version of the truth within the comments section. The integration of logic apps to keep to the workflow gives the ability for the comments from the analyst or the managing director to be stored in a database for record keeping. It also gives the analyst the ability in Power Apps to send notifications to the managing director as well as others who comment. Then, the managing director can now see that everyone has given a thumbs up and he can sign off on the report in Power BI directly, thus sending the report to the regulatory institution. Let's take a look at what this would actually look like. I'm now going to show the Power BI with the Power App we created embedded in the report. The analysts now have a Power BI report with Power Apps embedded in it. You can see here along the right-hand side that my Power App looks a lot like it's embedded within a Power BI report. So it's hard to tell that it's even sort of a different technology within the report itself. Once again, I can also see that certain elements of the report are also going to dynamically filter the Power App itself by clicking on it. So if I click on Discounter, my Power App comments are going to change depending on what someone has commented in that section. So you can see here that it is quite dynamic and integrated very well. So now let's say I'm an analyst that's interested in drugstore. I can see here that one of my fellow analysts has asked me about a certain data point. Might be hard to read, but the comment says, "Hey Deb, I can't get the numbers to tie out. Can you have a look?" So now what I would do is I would go into the Power App once I've figured out what the issue is on the report itself, or having to sort of take a look at some of the underlying numbers. I can click this plus button to actually add a new comment here. So if I wanted to respond, I would say, "Hey, figured it out. It's due to X, Y, and Z." I can then submit the comment directly. However, before I submit it, I have the ability to notify just previous commenters. So if I just wanted to respond directly to Ben and notify him that I figured it out. However, I can also choose to notify specific people. This functionality would give me the ability to directly notify the managing director via the Power App instead of having to notify a commenter and then drop an email separately directly to the managing director saying, "Hey, this issue is solved. Can you go back in and sign off?" So then, once the comment has been submitted, the managing director is able to go in. They'll be able to see all the comments and whether or not people are happy with the drugstore portion of the report. Now, if everyone's happy on this and they've signed off on it, all the managing director has to do is go in and click on this sign off button directly. All the comments and the data in the back end have already been stored to a SQL database in the back end. And then now clicking on sign off will basically just send everything that I'm happy with directly to the regulatory institution upon clicking on this button. So that was a brief demo showing how Power BI and Power Apps can work very well together to automate a process that can be very time consuming for everyone involved. So now we would like to conclude the webcast. What are some of the things that are important to consider when exploring Power Apps or thinking about business needs where the tool could potentially be useful? With any data initiative, it's imperative to identify and define the business drivers behind consideration for using Power Apps. What are some of the use cases or business challenges that need to be solved? What other applications or data sources can we potentially leverage? It is certainly possible to start small through Power Apps, perhaps by creating a few proof of concept like activities, or maybe holding innovation workshops to explore the desired functionality. Power Apps have been designed to integrate with many other tools, but it is important to think about future investments as well. When you're integrating with systems and processes with Power Apps, you might consider using technologies where you already have experience, which would then position you to work well with both sort of your existing and then maybe your future technologies. Power Apps should also be considered alongside other assets and initiatives to see where it fits into existing business processes. Where are there opportunities to optimize processes or potentially empower users to redefine processes? These are a few important things to consider when thinking about using Power Apps. It's certainly a good place to begin contemplating the topic. For those who have already identified a use case that will help streamline your business, Microsoft has made it very easy to get started with Power Apps. As soon as you log in to web.powerapps.com, your home screen shows pre-made templates that are ready to be synced up with your data sources, customized, and deployed. Some out-of-the-box options include the help desk or service requests, vacation requests, work-from-home requests, room or resource booking, surveys, checklists, and many others. Power Apps also provides guidance if you are looking to innovate from a blank canvas with the Start from Blank or Start from Data templates as well. And for those of you who are already using Power Apps, there are some new features on the horizon, and just like Power BI and Azure, Power Apps and Flow are consistently seeing updates all the time. I only have a few listed here, but there are many more that Microsoft has announced, and they sort of have built into their roadmap for the future. So first, adding new data and application connections, sort of as well as improving performance and functionality with the existing data assets. Continual updates to the experience of both developers and users of the apps, aimed at making the product enterprise ready. The end user experiences have been enriched through improvements to app speed, both authoring on the web and app playing, loading times of model-driven apps, and performance of Power App forms in SharePoint. And then finally, Microsoft, with the general availability release of Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2 and other investments, is making strides in the capabilities and collaboration possible with Common Data Service. There are many more updates expected, so check out the Microsoft website or reach out to us if you have any questions or if you're interested in some of the things you're seeing on the screen. Thank you for joining us today. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to Scott or myself with any questions. Thank you very much. Have a great day.